One boring brick wall. One creepy cardboard cutout. Three enormous animals. Sup nerds, so in today's video we have a Coraline theory for you. We're more than halfway into October, so I wanted to start covering some Halloween movies for you. I have a few other projects down the timeline that we're going to cover, but we'll get to that later. But right now, we have a Coraline theory, and the best thing about this fandom, I think, is the theories. They're absolutely amazing, and to form this theory, I had to watch a lot of different YouTube videos. I had to watch a lot of people talk about stuff, so I will put up a few different things that I took from. It is a theory that could lead to a sequel. And it would be a pretty cool sequel, but we'll get to that in a second. This theory is called the Games Before theory. It's centralized around Mrs. Lovett, which is Wybie's grandma, her twin sister, and the cat. So I know a few people have some crazy theories about the cat and whatever, but we're just gonna go into this theory. So if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more Halloween videos in the future or more videos on a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about, Marvel, DC, anything else like that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and
I would have died.
That's nice.
Right into the notification bell. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Something that always bothered me watching this movie is they explain that one of the ghost children is Mrs. Lovett's sister. Why would Mrs. Lovett stay there? Wouldn't she get freaked out? Maybe she thinks her sister's coming back. Maybe she doesn't know what happened to her sister. But I don't think that's true. So let's go into what happened. And throughout this video, I'm going to paint you a picture of what actually happened and then give you evidence on why I think that's true. So Mrs. Lovett and her family, including her twin sister, moved to the house in the 1940s, 1950s. So the Beldam, also known as the other mother, took a lot of different kids before Mrs. Lovett or her twin sister were even there. So she's been doing this for a long time already. And when the movie takes place, Mrs. Lovett is around 60. So it's kind of crazy that at the beginning of the movie, we see this doll, and the doll looks exactly like Mrs. Lovett and her twin sister when they were young, because Wybie shows Coraline the picture of them when they were younger. One of the kids had that doll with them. I'm guessing it's Mrs. Lovett's twin sister. And that picture tells you a lot, but we'll get to what that actually means. Also, the reason why I don't think Mrs. Lovett's twin sister just had this doll with her when she got there and the Beldam used it as this kind of thing, because we see her, she's got all this material, all this like extra stuff like yarn and whatever, and like she has like this kit together where she takes the doll and she's whatever. Like she seems prepared. She's done this before. This is not anything new for her. In the very beginning of the movie, the doll goes from looking like Mrs. Lovett and her twin sister to Coraline. So that means there was no kids getting lured in between Mrs. Lovett and Coraline. So that's a big age gap. That's 60 years. And there was no difference. Why did the Beldam not try to lure in any other kids between those 2 points? Let's find out. So Mrs. Lovett and her twin sister get to the house. She finds this doll, and then the Beldam lures them into the other world, just like Coraline does. Basically, all the events of Coraline happen to Mrs. Lovett and her twin sister. But as I said before, there's a reason why we see the picture with Mrs. Lovett and her twin sister, and her twin sister is probably the one with the doll, because when they get lured in, the reason why that Mrs. Lovett is able to escape and her twin sister is not able to escape is either because her twin sister does something to protect her, or the twin sister is a lot more, I don't know if it's just gullible or more fascinated with the world or more depressed than the other girl, but that's what the Beldam or the other mother does. She lures in these kids who are troubled or having problems with things not going their way, because you know, kids are very naive, they're very gullible, they don't understand that maybe their life isn't as horrible as they think it is. But the Beldam plays on that, and she gives them whatever they want: food, gifts. It doesn't matter. She just makes the world as perfect for them as she can. And the Beldam is known to be a woman character. She's kind of like this mix of a bunch of different like folklore and everything, but she's known to be a woman character, kind of like just a witch. What I say is that yes, maybe she is their mother in this kind of prequel, sequel movie or whatever, or it could be any other woman character who is at least negative in their life, because that's what this movie plays on. The negativity of what kids think they're going through is just so horrible. And what she does is that she just, in this world, she throws it all away. But what she's trying to do is she's trying to get them to go there and sew buttons in their eyes and be blinded to all the real stuff in the real world. She wants them to be secluded just with her, and she just wants to live longer and feed on their love. Because I think that's the main theory for a lot of people, and a lot of people agree with it, is maybe she kills them, or maybe she doesn't kill them, but at least the reason why she's doing it is that she's able to feed and make herself younger with their love, or just it just makes her stronger, or something like that. So same thing that happens in Coraline. They go a few times, or maybe they just go once, and Mrs. Lovett says, yeah, this isn't real, but her sister is way too fascinated with it. So they get in an argument, they get in a fight. Mrs. Lovett is able to leave. She kind of gets chased down, but she's able to leave. But she gets in this argument with her sister, and she leaves her sister there. So she goes home, and her parents are concerned. Where's your sister at? Which she just kind of pretends like she doesn't know. So they freak out. They're looking for her. They call the police, whatever. It's this whole crazy thing. So after a few days, Mrs. Lovett feels bad because she left her sister there, but she tried to get her to come home and she wasn't able to get her to come home. But she knows is that they won't believe her if she says, oh, there's this other world and it's in the store, because she's tried to get them to look and then it's just a brick wall. She's able to go back. She goes back to try to stop her from sewing buttons in her eyes and living there forever, and she just wants her to come home. So we'll go back to the original questions we asked ourselves. How doesn't she get stuck in the other realm? How does she live? And why does she choose to stay there? This is going to get really interesting, and it's going to show a lot of parallels to the actual movie Coraline. And maybe it doesn't work the same way, but I think the Beldam is a creature of consistency and repetitiveness, because she knows what works, what kids will fall into, so she does the exact same thing every single time. But a character that knows that she does the same thing over and over again is the cat. The cat knows certain things. And this is kind of where we go into a side theory. This is going into what the cat is, who the cat is, and what the cat wants. And this is going to be the big surprise. The cat is not a cat. A lot of people say this. A lot of people are like, the cat's obviously not just a cat. Like, the cat knows something. It's some, like, entity, whatever. My issue is that people say the cat is evil. There is nothing in this movie that shows him being evil or bad or helping the Beldam. He seems like he just hates her. There is no, like, I'm working with her and then I'm betraying her. No, it just seems like he doesn't like her at all. My theory of who the cat is, it is one of her first victims. And here's why I think this. When he's talking to Coraline and he's talking about being named, what's your name, what can I call you? He says, I don't like to be named because it shows an attachment, shows like authority over me, and it like shows that I can just be called. So that could just be, oh, he doesn't like to be called names, but I think it's also because he doesn't remember his name. And who also doesn't remember their names? The ghost children, who are former victims of the other mother, the Beldam. I think he was one of her first victims, if not the first victim. And because he's one of her first victims, she doesn't know what to do at first. So she plays around, she plays these games. He even says to Coraline, when she's trying to get her parents back, she says, I have to get my parents back. He goes, then challenge her. She's got a thing for games. And he even tells her she doesn't play fair. And the only reason he would know this is that he's been around for a long time, which would mean that he isn't just a normal cat and there's some sort of magical thing around this guy. And then the fact that he knows she likes to play games, he must have played a game with her, or he has seen people play games with her. I think it's the first option. I think when he was a boy, he was just a little boy, he got lured in by a doll or by a toy or whatever it was, and he gets there, but he's clever. He is very clever, and he's able to trick her, and they start playing a game. They play a game, but he ultimately loses the game. And because he loses the game, he tries to escape or whatever. She could have just killed him. He was about to escape. She could have just killed him, like she would kill anybody else, any other kid. But instead, she uses her magic and she turns him into a cat because she thinks this is a worse fate than death. Now he's just eternally a cat, and that's how he has to live, and he's gonna forget who he is, and he's gonna whatever, and he's just a cat. And that's it. Oh, that's terrible. But it ends up, unfortunately for her, backfiring on her because now he's able to help all the other kids who she tries to lure in. He at least tries to help them. So now we go back to our main theory with Mrs. Lovat trying to get back and save her sister from the Beldam before she sews buttons in her eyes. So once she gets there, she cannot find her sister, and the Beldam shows up and she says, let's play a game. And it doesn't matter what the actual game is, but she plays a game with her. And she says, so if I win the game, I get to get my sister back and we get to go home. She says, okay, but if you lose, you have to stay here and you have to sew buttons in your eyes. So that's what happens. They play the game, and I don't know how or whatever, but she ends up winning. But she says, okay, fine. So she goes and she brings out her sister, but her sister, in those few days that she was gone, she took too long, and she ended up sewing the buttons into her eyes. And she has now become blind to the truth, the reality that she has a family at home, a real family at home. She's like, oh no, come stay with us again. Like, it's so amazing here. Why would you want to go back? Like, this is amazing. Let's just stay here. She cannot convince her that she has to go home. Then the Beldam's like, oh, you might as well stay here. And Mrs. Lovat says, yeah, no, I'm not staying here or whatever. She's like, well, now you have to stay here. I'm not letting you leave. She knew that she wasn't going to play fair. So the deal is, she's like, I won't kill you, but now you have to stay on the property. You have to stay here. One day you're going to have to buy the building and you're going to have to rent it out to families so that I can take the kids and I can bring them and they can stay here with me. Because if not, I'm just going to kill you. And she says, okay, because now in her head, she has a plan. So she goes, she lives her whole life, and she says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy the building. I'm going to do what she says, because if not, she's going to come find me. She's going to come kill me, or maybe worse, kill my sister or whatever. At least I know my sister's alive. So what happens is she stays there on the property, but she's smart. She sells to people that she knows aren't going to have kids or are like almost never going to leave. So you have the two actress ladies. Their show's never going to take off. They're way too weird. They got all these freaking dogs. They don't need kids. So they're fine. There's going to be no kids there. She's not going to lure them in. She's got Mr. Bobinski in the freaking attic. His freaking mice thing's never going to take off. He's just going to stay in that attic the whole time. He's got his little mice, but she doesn't want to live there. That's just a reminder that her sister is in that house, just another version of the house. But the issue is the main building. She rents it out to people, but they don't have kids. The big question in the big plot hole of this theory is, why does one day she say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to now rent it out to a family with a kid. And this is where it's like, I was stumped. I was really stumped. I was like, why would she do that? Yes, she made the deal. Maybe she had to make a deal that one day a kid had to move in. And it's like, well, why would she ever make that deal? Why would she put anybody up to that fate? The same fate that happened to her sister. She sewed buttons in her eyes. Like, that's insane. Why would she have anybody else do that? That's horrible. You know what makes you do stuff that's crazy? Love. And it couldn't be her partner, her husband, or whatever. She ends up living her life. She has kids, but then she has a grandkid. She was able to protect her kids or whatever, but this kid, YB, is real adventurous. He goes out, he rides his bike, he goes here, he goes there. She doesn't really have control over him. We go to the other world. The Beldam has used her sister. She has loved her forever or whatever. She's living in bliss. Her sister's living in bliss, and she's just enjoying that life. But she slowly starts to, like, either phase out of it or whatever, or she starts to not love her anymore, and she traps her in that room. She ends up dying in that room. Once she's got her in that room, trapped or whatever, she's like, okay, now I gotta try to get another kid. So what she does is she rearranges that doll that she brought back, and she says, oh, let's make it look like somebody else. Basically, my theory is that doll has magic abilities, like a lot of things she has, because you see it teleport, you can see whatever. So this doll, whoever she makes it look like, will eventually end up in her other dimension. Whether they stay there or whatever, she will end up being there. So she makes this character, and she's got blue hair, and she's got this raincoat, whatever, and she sends it away. Mrs. Lovat sees this doll show up one day, and what she does is she's like, I gotta hide this away. I cannot let this doll drag another kid in. I can't let this happen. So what she does is that eventually she has to let a family move in with this girl who looks like this doll. But what happens is she gets real mad. She beats it up. That's why it's dirty. I did see a theory. It's like, oh, why is this doll dirty? Because when she actually first makes the doll, it's clean. She hides away in a bunker or in a chest or whatever. The events of Coraline play out. She lets Coraline come in so that the Beldam doesn't go after Wybie. Because Wybe's all adventurous, he might go into the house, he might get taken from her or whatever. She made sure her kids stayed in the house, but Wybie, she just couldn't control him. That's why she's always screaming for him. Because she's scared that the Beldam's gonna get him. But instead, she gets Coraline. And that's basically the whole theory. She kind of just lets Coraline take the place of her grandson. She definitely feels guilty about it. She had to let it happen because she didn't want her to take Wybie. I think if we do see a sequel, it's gonna be Coraline explaining what happened, and she's gonna feel really bad. And I don't know if she'd say anything or whatever. Maybe she does say, I kind of let this happen. Like, I made a deal with her and I kind of had to let it happen. Crazy theory. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's right. I just think it ties in the cat, Mrs. Lovat, into a sequel and the Ghost Kids really well. And I think a lot of it makes sense. I don't know if all of it's correct or how everything is true or whatever, but I feel like a lot of those points I think are right. If we ever do get a sequel and it's a prequel and a lot of this stuff is right, I'm right here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and
Don't even think about going out, Coraline Jones!
right into the notification bell. And as always, have a fantastic day. And if you cannot have a fantastic day today, have a fantastic day tomorrow. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later, nerds!